Hi, everybody. Welcome to Medelita's The Right Fit 2015 episode to recognize our new honoree, John Santoro, who won this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Right Fit Award is. Medelita makes very fine, high-quality medical scrubs and lab coats. And working in the medical profession, we felt that it was necessary or important to highlight excellency in medical residency, especially because so many residents we come across are doing amazing things while in residency, and there's so many negative stories in the media about how difficult it is to go through being a medical doctor now, and we like to bring out the optimistic stories. So with all that being said, we founded the first honorarium was last year in 2014. We do have a partner, and we're very proud to have Teflon Fabric Protector as our sponsor. And you can always check us out at medelita.com. So, Jonathan, I'm going to go right to you, and congratulations for winning. I know
Thank you very much.
we recorded the live call that Kanani was on when John was awarded it, and it was very authentic surprise, I can say, in your voice.
I still don't know if it's actually all set in yet. I think I'm still shaking from before, so.
That's great. You can tell you didn't expect. So tell us, I want to learn a little bit about your background and why you decided to become a medical doctor. Was it part of your family? Was it a profession you'd been around a lot, or where did the inspiration come from?
No, it was quite the opposite. There's no doctors, no physicians, nobody in medicine at all in my family. And I initially went to college, and I was really kind of set on being a psychologist. I really like talking to people and all of that communication aspect. And then when I get in, part of Tulane's program after Hurricane Katrina was a service learning component. So everybody had to do some type of field activity, no matter what your major was. And I ended up in an Alzheimer's unit in one of the kind of long stay hospitals. And at first I wasn't really sure what to make of the situation. And, I hate to use the analogy of the light bulb going off, but, I saw myself, in that environment. And I liked the communication. I liked the scientific aspect of medicine, the pharmacology. And it's just kind of all of the things that I like suddenly fit into one clear thing. And I was like, this is what I got to do.
Wow. Okay, so I did not understand that you decided it from your work with Katrina.
Well, it wasn't directly related, but as part of kind of the rebuilding aspect, and after usually it was like January 2006. We were out in the community, we were doing different things here and there, and I was randomly assigned technically to an Alzheimer's unit. It was awesome.
Wow. Wow. And so how long did you stay in New Orleans after you graduated, or did you have to leave immediately?
No, so I went there for undergrad. I took a year off in between. I actually lived in Washington, D.C. and worked in clinical research just for a year. And then when it came back time to pick where to go to medical school, it wasn't even kind of a choice. I mean, I was going to go back to New Orleans no matter what. So.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so tell us, and I know that this is something the judges in particular were really interested in and impressed with, was your decision to go into pediatric neurology. Because I've been told repeatedly that it's not the most profitable field you could have chosen. There are other specialties that you could have chosen, and the judges really thought that meant a lot about the path you chose.
Yeah, I mean, it was a situation where I always enjoyed working with kids. So even going into medical school, I knew that pediatrics might be a field that was going to fit me the best. And my background is in neuroscience. It's what my college degree is in, my master's in. And they gave me the option. The core neurology rotation at Tulane was full, and they asked me if I would be willing to do it in pediatrics and then kind of do it in a couple of adult clinics. And I said, yeah, absolutely, why not? I just fell in love with the population. It was, patients where it's, long-term, disease process, but right now we can't do as much for it. But I've had experiences in industry. I did a co-op with Eli Lilly, going back a couple of years now, and I saw a lot of these really cool things that were in the pipeline then, and I can see where biotechnology, where pharmacology is going to interface, where all of these kids where a lot of physicians will kind of throw up their hands because they're so medically complex, or even treatments aren't necessarily going to affect long-term outcomes. Now I think that in my career, things are going to shift to be a place where it's going to be not only exciting for me as a physician to help this population, but also very exciting for them, where we can make interventions early on, whether it be in the NICU, whether it be in even prenatally, and then be able to kind of see these outcomes long term. And I think that was something that I really enjoyed, and the patient population is great. So
good. Great. So, okay, tell us about what it felt like to win the Right Fit Award. I know you said before we got on that you couldn't quite believe it. And I listened to some of the call where you talked about some of the things you're going to do with it, because if anyone's watching and doesn't know, there's a $25,000 honorarium that goes with it. So give me that story.
Yeah, I still don't know if I necessarily believe it. I mean, I guess this is making it a little bit more real.
It's actually going to happen.
But, I got off the phone and I had to sit there for a minute, and I was like, oh my God, like, I was post call that morning. I'd been up all night, and so I was in that state of what is real, what is not. So I still couldn't believe it, but I called my grandmother first to tell her the good news, and she told me she knew it from the second I mentioned that I had been nominated. Of course, grandmother's confidence is always very nice, but my whole family was so happy. I think everybody didn't really expect it. I kind of mentioned it, and I didn't really play it up because I don't know. It's a competition, so who knows what's going to happen, but. It was so exciting and so great, and obviously I called my brother too, who I was going to share some of the prize with. I didn't mention that to him during this whole.
Have you mentioned it to him yet?
Oh yes, I did, and he was very happy to hear that. So, but it was great.
And he's in residency now.
No, so he's wrapping up his second year of medical school at the University of Arkansas.
Okay, well, aren't you kind? Would he have done the same for you?
I'd like to think so.
Okay, you got to talk about the iPad just for a minute.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been trying to get my grandmother to use different technologies to communicate with us, because she feels bad because her 3 grandchildren are all very far away. So I call her every day, but using an iPhone has been a little challenging for visual purposes and for using it physically. So the iPad is going to be the next step for her to be able to communicate and have a video along with everything else. So
great. Okay, so I know it's early and the award's only in its second year, but we hope that you can use it as a means to grow awareness for the causes that, and we're going to go to Kanani, but I mean, have you put any thought into what it could mean as a platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the more exciting parts of kind of winning this, is that even in the early stages, I had people emailing, texting, phone calls out of the blue, with different stories, people I hadn't talked to or in years and years, and it was my son or my friend's daughter or this and that, and all of these stories coming out of the woodwork about patients that I normally treat in the hospital, but kind of now extending out into my friend and social network. And I think that was such a cool part of this competition, is having Facebook, having Google, having Twitter be part of it, because it's really, even in the early stages, it was drumming up a lot of attention for the things that I'm passionate about. And now with kind of letting people know the results of the competition and posting things online, it's really done a lot for reconnecting me with people, and also helping to hear a lot of the stories that reaffirm kind of my career decision of going into the right field.
Great. Okay, so that's a perfect segue to Kanani, because she has her own causes, and Kanani was our inaugural winner last year, and I know that you were also surprised, Kanani, when you got the news. So I'd love to hear you just recap that, but also what it's meant to you, and then how it felt to be a judge. So I'll just let you tell your story.
It's funny because I was actually at the Society of Adolescent and Pediatric Gynecology conference presenting a poster when I was asked to be on the call, and then they surprised me and said that I won, which was unbelievable. So I totally agree with John there that I didn't expect it at all. You always hope, but it's still just a shock to the system. And again, as John said this year, with a field of so many qualified candidates and the amazing things that they're doing, not only here in the United States, but really all around the world, it was really just humbling to be among them. And then to find out that I won was a shock. The irony is that as we talk right now, I recently had an article accepted for publication in the Journal of Pediatric and Adolescent Gynecology. So we've kind of come full circle with that. And that article is based on the work that I did this past year with the Physicians Against the Trafficking of Humans, which is the organization that I founded with members of American Medical Women's Association, and then some other people, including Stuart Culpepper, who was our producer and director for the PATH videos to educate physicians about child sex trafficking. And we launched that last summer. We had a very successful launch nationally, and then since then we've been showing it in multiple states. We have a map on the website that shows every place that it's been played, and I think it's most of the states in the United States. And now we're in the process of collecting pre and post data to see how effective this medium is for teaching physicians about trafficking and teaching them the warning signs and how to identify victims. And the other aspect that's been particularly rewarding is just with Medelita and winning the Hero Award is the credibility that gives my platform. And I think a lot of people in my residency program, even my program director, came up to me and said, "Wait, you won, so you really get $25,000?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I've been able to use it to go to Nepal this past fall and work with kids in Kathmandu and work with an organization there called Shakti Samuha, which does work to educate about violence and trafficking and helps trafficked victims to recover their lives. So that's just one of the things that this award has helped me to do. It's been tremendous, and it's been a terrific platform for me, and Medelita is just incredibly generous, and very thankful for the family that I've made in Medelita too, and I welcome John to the family.
Yeah. So how did it feel being a judge? I'm guessing, because you're both very humble people, that was probably an odd position for you.
Yeah, again, I felt like, wow, these people are incredible, and I don't feel in any position to judge them, let alone to sit with them and talk with them. So that was amazing. It was a difficult decision, I remember, but it also became very, very clear through the process that John just stood out in a way that some of the other candidates didn't, just because of his work and his choice to go into Peds Neuro. We just all fell in love with John. But he was surrounded by a pool of amazing applicants, so I was really glad for the guidance of other Medelita members there in being a judge, and it was a tremendous experience to be on the other side of the phone call and to hear John's reaction, and I just felt like giving him a high five and saying, "I know how you feeling, brother."
Yeah, I listened to it. I wasn't on it live, but it gave me goosebumps. There's enough negativity. It's great to have an inspiring story rewarded and acknowledged. I mean, for both of you. Okay, so here's the question for both of you. We've done this for 2 years. We absolutely love this program, and trying to generate as much awareness as we can about all the exceptional residents. I mean, one of the great things is not simply being able to award one person, but to be able to recognize nominees, because there's so many great stories. So we wondered, and you don't have to have an answer for this, but if you had any advice to how we could either spread awareness or make it even better.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, it just from kind of me, it has now spread to everybody in my program, and now everybody at Stanford. And I think that there is that ballooning effect, especially when everybody sees how much your cause is promoted. And in residency specifically, your time commitments are so concentrated and few and far between when you're outside of the hospital, that you have time for really just, your limited personal life, and then your, passions. And I think that if anything, residency has kind of made my passion for, my particular causes even more strong. And I can't necessarily explain how or why, but I think that as my time commitments have become more focused in the hospital, it just, when I'm out, it's just, I have this drive to like, well, I got to get this done. I got, whereas before in medical school, it was like, I like these things, but I'm not sure, I have time. Let me go try these other things. And I think that those two in combination of, having that local spread, having that social media aspect, and then, as Kanani was saying, was like having, validation, if you will, for like what your cause is, really goes a long way. Because at first, everyone's like, oh yeah, you're in some contest, and now it's like, wow, you won, and now I want to hear more about what you're talking about, and it's really, really cool. So, there's many different ways to approach it, but I think that just having the validation that, what you're doing is important makes other people, feel the same way.
Sure. Okay, Kanani, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think that this past year, with the multiple things I've been able to do with the money, and especially in terms of helping people in Nepal, I think that having photos on the Medelita website to promote some of the work that we do, I would agree with John that when my program heard about it, they suddenly sat up and paid attention. And I would say the same about the other professional groups that I'm in as well. The American Medical Women's Association, I know multiple people from there decided, hey, I think I want to apply for this, or I want somebody to nominate me, and so word got out. And the same with some of the pediatric organizations that I belong to. Also, when I went to interview for fellowships for adolescent medicine, numerous people at multiple programs asked me about it and asked me what it is, so I think that there's opportunity there as well. But I look forward to seeing John's career develop and unfold, and I think that having photos or links to articles that John authors, studies that he does, would be great to share on the Medelita website.
Okay, that's a great piece of advice, and I will be talking to Dan, who's the CMO, shortly. Okay, great. And next year there will be a third member of the honorarium family here. So I will see you all next year as well. I'm going to stop the live broadcast so you guys can hang on for a little bit, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.